basically rectifies this situation and says that conversion charter high schools should get to be funded at the same rate that the school district get funded at. You know, and the reason why they wrote it like that, because I suggested that they just write it like it's a startup charter, and they can get funded at the same rate as any startup charter high school. Because if you're a startup charter, you get funded at the higher rate, but it comes from the state, not the district. And so charter schools are entities that are created, that have been created by laws of the state. So if they believe that they should get this higher funding level, they should get the money from the state. I don't begrudge them the money. I begrudge them the fact that it's coming from the rest of our children in the school district. And part of the issue of, you know, everybody goes, well, high schools cost more money. You're right, they do. However, part of the reason why they cost more money is when you look at high school districts is alt-ed programs. Alt-ed programs cost significantly more funding. When you look at our Olympic program, you look at our Crossroad program, you look at all of it, we have more administrators per pupil, we have more teachers per pupil, there's more support staff on there per pupil. And charter high schools don't have alternative programs. If you're not successful in the charter high school, you go to one of our alt-ed programs. I don't get any additional funding when you come from a charter school. So there are costs that, yes, go along with being in a high school district when you look at the alternative programs. However, when you're alternative charter high school, you don't have the same costs that a regular high school district has. And so, and again, the other issue here in the funding differential is around special ed. Because under federal law, the district is still the responsible party for everybody in that attendance area. Now, by California law, the charter school cannot deny entrance based on special ed needs. But at the end of the day, if the parent doesn't want to send their child to the charter, the district is responsible for an appropriate placement for that child. So within this $3.7 million cost that we have built into our ongoing budget, you know, $1.8 million of that approximately is the funding differential between the district having to pay the difference between our unified rate and the high school rate. AB 18811 would address that for future charters. It does not address that for any past charter. So we will still have to pay that funding differential even if this passes. Okay, so, you know, but that doesn't mean that it's not good legislation, because in my mind, we've put in a waiver to the California Department of Ed saying that this charter should be funded like it is a startup charter, and that means the state would pay the difference. So what this legislation does is it does recognize that currently unified school districts are penalized under the current law. So I'm hopeful that that would help inform the decision-making process of the State Board of Ed. I'm hopeful that it would do that. The other component is the $2 million in special ed costs. Because again, that's going to change. I know that will change by the end of next year, but it's going to be, that will all be dependent on what special needs program is offered at the charter school and what program and how many of those kids come back to our school district. And so at the end of next year, we'll have a much better idea what that is. But again, like anything, we have to sort of budget for a worst case scenario, and that's what we've done. And so that number will change. So again, that number can change significantly by the end of next year in a positive way if two things happen. One way is if the State Board of Ed approves our waiver. We don't know yet. If it's going to be approved, it would be on their May board meeting. We have not heard whether or not it's going to be agendized, so we don't know that yet. So we don't know what recommendation is going to come out of the California Department of Ed. The other one would be is if all the children in that attendance pattern that are special needs get served, no matter if they're in NPS placement or not in NPS placement, if they get served by that school, then that $2 million will also significantly reduce. And we just don't know that portion of it until the end of next year.
NPS is what?
I'm sorry. NPS are non-public schools. So students that have IEPs that are placed in programs outside of our school district are non-public placements or non-public schools. So they're NPS placements. And so, you know, again, though, if you're in 8th grade and you're in NPS and you want to stay there, you're not, the question would be is why you would apply to go to the charter. Because your IEP is already with the school district, so your placement would continue. If you go with the charter, then they have 30 days to read, because they're a new LEA, they have 30 days to redo your assessment, redo your plan, and redo your IEP. And so if the parent likes the placement, there's really no impetus to move your child to the charter school. Now maybe you feel that your child wouldn't need to be in an NPS placement and the charter school could meet your child's needs, and then you would want to apply and go there. So, again, I'm not sure what the future will hold with that. So deficit spending, again, here's what we're deficit spending this year, and then next year, here's what we're projecting, and then moving forward. The big drop between 13-14 and 14-15, because we have to start looking now at 14-15, is currently under the flexibility that we're given. Class size reduction flexibility goes away in 14-15. And the issue with class size reduction flexibility is if we don't do it, we lose $5 million in penalties when the law comes back into place. If we don't do it, we lose $5 million. If we bring it back, it's like $3.8 million. Well, it costs me less to bring it back, and it's better educationally for the kids, so we'll bring it back. But that's why you see a pretty large, significant drop between 13-14 and 14-15 in the deficit, why our deficit grows even more, and that is because of bringing back class size reduction. So again, we're hoping in the May revise that is part of the governor's budget proposal, so we can budget to it. He recommends extending class size reduction flexibility for at least another year or two. We just don't know what will happen with that.
Another year or two past 2014-15.
Yes, yeah. Because otherwise we'll be in the same place next spring. It's always going to be that third year out. Eventually our flexibility is going to go away. And once that goes away, all of the categoricals that we've swept, we'll see out here. And if we don't have additional funding to backfill that, then all of the money that we swept from those programs, then we're going to have to, cut other programs to be able to put them back into their categoricals. And so when you look at our ending fund balance, this is where we're projecting to the end of this year, $22 million. End of next year, $11 million. End of the 13-14 school year is $142,000. And then we end up in the negative of $17.7 million. This is under a current scenario that we do nothing. So we don't make any reductions, we don't do any enhancements to any salary schedules or anything. This is just sort of our current trajectory if we make no course changes whatsoever. Yes?
And that includes, assuming that the governor's budget passes?
This is, you're exactly right. This is assuming that the taxes pass. This is the flat funding formula. I don't even, you get suicidal when you throw in another $14 million a year. Because $14 million, remember, it compounds. So that would mean I'd be deficit spending $27 million next year. And then over here, it would be $40 million because you would double the $14 million. And over here, it'd be 60, whatever. I mean, it just gets, really bad really fast. So, we need the taxes to pass. But let's end on a positive note. Now that we're so far down in the dark here, let's look at something positive. How has Measure C helped us, again, to our bottom line? So what have we done to legally and creatively utilize Measure C to help us, our bottom line? We first, again, to go back, we have COPs. What are COPs? Certificate of Participation. That doesn't help you. So think about, back in the good times in 2005 and you wanted to redo your bathroom. And you went out and you took a second out on your home, and now you have the cash to redo your bathroom. Back in 2002, the district decided to do some construction work that hadn't been approved through the other Measure C. And so they went in, they did a certificate of participation, and basically pledged the general fund dollars to pay that off. And so basically the amount that was being paid off was $1.4 million a year, and I think it would have gone through like 2023, 2024. So we had another 10 years of those payments, or about another $14 million. So we retired that debt with the current Measure C. So we did that immediately. So that saved us $1.4 million. And then the other thing we did is that the deferred maintenance, it was another tier 3 categorical. But deferred maintenance, basically, we couldn't just sweep all that because you got a leak in your roof and it's the middle of the winter. You need money to pay for the repair. We use deferred maintenance. Deferred maintenance, we have all of our schools that are built in the 40s and the 50s. So, we have to have some pretty good deferred maintenance.